Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined as always by the man who often likes to strum on his banjo. It's Greg. How are you today, buddy?
Very well. I would say very well. I'm okay now. But I had my Christmas works night out last night and too much to drink. So it was a bit of a difficult morning. But I've rallied. I'm feeling fine now. It was 2:15 my time here in the afternoon. But a few months ago there was a bit of a Guinness drought in Dubai. I can't remember what the reason was, but basically, so for some reason, as I may have mentioned before, there's an Irish pub chain here called McGettigan's, which I know you're familiar with, and for some reason they, rather than just sort of kind of keep their nerve, they decided to replace Guinness with Murphy's.
Oh dear.
Now, I don't mind a Murphy's, but Guinness, I find I can sip away at a few pints of Guinness. I don't get pissed too quick, and 9 out of 10 times I'm fine the next day. Yeah. But that's not true with Murphy's. I can tell you. Because, I was home by 10 o'clock. There's a Wimpy open by me. Remember the Wimpy?
Oh, wow, yeah. Did you get a big bender?
No, they didn't. They don't have big benders in the menu here. No, but I got the taxi to drop me there and lurched in there at about 10:15, bought 2 burgers, ate them both, and then lurched home. I remember coming in and pretending that I wasn't all that drunk, but then, of course, my nocturnal movements gave me away because I've got a bit of a habit of getting up to go for a piss in the night and getting a wee bit lost on my way to the bathroom. And opening wardrobe doors and things. And Paula, my long-suffering wife, always has to sort of stop me just in time and send me and kind of get me into the bathroom. So, oh dear. Apparently that happens quite a few times in the night, but she seems all right. Yeah, she seems all right. Okay. She averted catastrophe every time and saved my disgrace. So it's weird that.
Wow. So you think it was the Murphys?
Well, it was. That was the thing I was drinking. And I must have had about 6 pints of it.
Okay.
So that'll definitely do it. But is that ever something that you've, back in your drinking days, you up in the night?
Never.
Piss in your dirty washing basket or something?
Absolutely never. Never happened to me ever. I'm thankful to say. I never usually even get up in the night.
Really?
I think I did. You know something? There was one night about a year ago, but I was going through a traumatic time. My dog had just died, and I was a bit upset and stuff. And I did have a night that I did have a few drinks, and I woke up about 4 a.m. on the sofa, and I was like, must have fallen asleep on the sofa. And I was like, right, I'll go through to bed. I went through to bed, and I'm like, wait a minute, I went to bed. I went to bed about 1 o'clock. Fell asleep, and I must have got up and went back through the sofa, and no recollection of it at all. But that's the only time that I can remember doing anything. I've never pissed anywhere that I shouldn't have, or done anything I shouldn't have when sleep or anything like that. So no, it's quite a unique thing. Well, not a unique thing to you, because I know quite a few people do it, but I don't have any experience of that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it just seems to be if I have a lot of beers. You know what I mean? If I get a bit boozy off wine, it's not the same. But I guess because I think beer kind of goes through you quicker, doesn't it? In that sense. Yeah. So that's probably why.
Yeah, wine, you often feel a little bit more dehydrated, I think. Yeah. When you're drinking wine, but especially red. You drink red wine, don't you? So
I do. White wine gives me a horrendous headache if I drink it. Even like 1 or 2 glasses, I can feel the headache coming on straight away. It's not even like a next day thing. It's like an immediate thing.
And is that all white wine? Because I have that with Chardonnay, but any other white wine I'm fine with.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, white wine isn't just like, if I was going to have if I had an empty, and I'd be like, right, I'm going to have a couple of drinks and watch a film, I wouldn't buy a bottle of white wine. I'd always buy a bottle of red wine. You know what I mean? The only time I ever have white wine is, if I'm at my mum's and my stepdad, she's made something that white wine goes with. I'll have a glass. Or some, if I'm offered. But I don't choose it, you know.
So we are. This episode comes out on Christmas Day, Greg. It's our Hogmanay episode, comes out on Christmas Day. How was your Christmas? I mean, obviously, we're recording this on the 6th of December, but have you got a big Christmas planned?
No, well, my mother-in-law arrives next week, as we were just saying before we started recording, so she's with us for a month, and we'll have Christmas dinner with her. My daughter's boyfriend will be joining us for Christmas dinner as well, and yeah, just that's it. I'm hoping eat about 2, disco nap, maybe about 5, couple of drinks in the evening, bed by 10 is my plan for Christmas. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. Oh, good. Oh, very nice. Glad to hear it. That'll be wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll be, and of course, I'll be seeing you at some point over Christmas. We'll be together.
You will be, yeah. I'd leave next Saturday, yeah. So I will see you at some point. And yeah, Christmas will be... Yeah, it's at my sister's this year, so there's a couple of people coming round. So, yeah, it'll just be morning. We'll probably do all presents and stuff on the 24th. Not because of any other reason than, we won't have time in the morning, so let's just do it now. And so, yeah, we'll probably just get up, leisurely get ready. I'd imagine people will come round about 12-ish or something. And then, yeah, probably dinner about 2. And then, yeah, just... play some games or something, or I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because normally everyone's up early in the morning, and then it's like the champagne's opened and everyone's drinking champagne at like 9-10 a.m. But it'll be a sober Christmas for me, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, so it'll be enjoyable. But
very nice.
Yeah, and then it'll all be over, and then we can move on with our lives. So it's great. So all good. Right. Well, shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland over the last week?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, for our last news roundup of 2025, what have you seen in the news this week?
So, on the last episodes, I mentioned there's a young woman who's been in the news in Scotland over the last few weeks called Ciara Cousins. And she's been in the news for faking being pregnant, having a baby, and losing a baby. And it's been quite big news. She's obviously hurt a lot of people, but she hasn't conned anybody. So she's not in hot water with the police or anything for doing it. But obviously, pretending to have and lose a baby does not endear yourself to anybody, including, it appears, the Orange Order. Because they've banned her. An investigation by the Orange Order has been launched after Ciara Cousins was caught on video donning the artificial baby bump in a march. So she is facing expulsion from the Orange Order.
Oh, wow.
The 22-year-old from Airdrie broke the internet in October after the Daily Record revealed how she conned her family and friends by pretending to give birth to a tiny daughter called Bonnie Lee Joyce after strapping on a dummy baby bump for months. Her loved ones then discovered that the baby was a realistic reborn doll after her mum found it in her bedroom. Last week, we disclosed that Ciara had been caught on video donning the artificial bump as part of an Orange Order march in her hometown in July. We can now reveal that the Grand Orange Lodge of Central Scotland has launched a probe to determine if her membership should be revoked. Speaking to the Record, David Walters, Executive Officer of the Grand Orange Lodge in Scotland, said there's an investigation going on at the moment. The County Grand Lodge of Central Scotland has offered her a meeting to discuss her situation, but as of yet we have not had it. The investigation is revolving around the scandal and to determine if she has brought the organisation into disrepute. So, singing songs about being up to their knees in Fenian blood is fine, but they draw the line at fake baby scams. It could end up with her losing her membership, depending on what she says to the disciplinary team investigating it. She's still a member of the institution at this time, though, and we are trying to understand why she did it, alongside offering her support through a traumatic time. We want to help her find support if that's what she wants to do. Ciara Cousins declined to comment on the probe when she was approached by the Record. A family friend of Ciara's, who labelled her a serial serial liar when the story broke, previously said she did Kira's hair for an Orange Order event and spoke about noticing the straps on her back holding the fake bump on. She said, me and my daughter noticed straight away that her bump wasn't real. It was all lumpy. She was wearing very thin pyjamas and you could see the straps on her back holding it on. When she posted the picture of her supposed baby, it looked like a doll, but I would have been slaughtered if I had spoken out about all this and said I didn't think any of it was real. People would have thought I was crazy. Production companies Soho Studios Entertainment and Glasgow-based Two Rivers Media are turning the hoax into a documentary. A release date has not been confirmed. A photograph posted by Kira showed her sitting in the office of one of the production companies. In the lead up to the birth of her daughter, which shocked the world, Kira posted baby scans, videos of a lavish gender reveal party, and claimed she weighed £5 4 ounces. The supermarket worker also uploaded pictures of her newborn clothes and items that loved ones bought, including a £1,000 pram and a car seat, alongside what is believed to be an AI-generated footage of the baby kicking in her stomach. She even wrote about hospital appointments and claimed antenatal tests picked up a heart defect in her baby. Kira was also seen telling the man she claimed was Bonnie Lee's dad their baby had died in screenshot messages. Reborn dolls retail between £30 and £2,000. Some versions make a crying sound, have fake tears, and produce wet nappies. So there you go. The Orange Order will not tolerate baby scams. Nikki.
I mean, banned from the Orange Order. What a fucking... Oh, that's just... could be the worst thing that ever happened. I mean, this woman obviously has issues, and there's... yeah, in terms of having the fake baby, but being banned from the Orange Order, fucking hell. How will she go on? The shame. She'll have to hand back her flute.
A big drum. It's funny, I mean, when you see, there's pictures of them here, like marching and stuff, with all their all their silly sashes and their bowler hats and all that kind of thing. And I was watching, they just seem so ridiculous, right? And I was watching the Beatles anthology TV series that was on in the mid-90s has just been remastered and released again on Disney Plus. And I watched, I just beasted it last weekend. I watched like all 9 hours of it over the weekend. I really enjoyed it. But there's kind of famously the Beatles got into hot water when John Lennon kind of compared their popularity to like Jesus, and kind of middle America fucking lost their mind. And there's show like in the documentary there's old news footage of a member of the Ku Klux Klan being interviewed at a kind of Beatles merch and record burning event somewhere in fucking God knows Alabama or somewhere like that. And like I don't know how anybody could take them seriously, because they've got these big... I don't know what it is about these like far right organisations like the Orange Order and the Ku Klux Klan and just ridiculous outfits. But this KKK guy, he's got like a big kind of cone shaped silk hood thing on that must stand a good, I don't know, like half a metre off the top of his head. And like his gown and everything else. And he's going on about how the Ku Klux Klan is a Christian organisation and blah, blah, blah. I mean, who does John Lennon think he is anyway? And it's the same with these orange guys. Like, I don't, they just look outrageous. It's like a joke. It's like a joke. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's probably, there may be people listening who the Orange Order is quite important to them. I mean, fuck knows why. Don't feel you have to listen if that is you. But fucking just weird. Really,
I mean, do they not get fed up just playing the same 3 songs? Learn something new.
Yeah, exactly. So
But oh wow. Well, I hope she's able to come to terms with being kicked out the Orange Order, and maybe she'll, I don't know, go and join the O2 Order or something, or T-Mobile Order.
Even if they do end up kicking her out, I mean, they might not, right?
Yeah, probably not. I'm surprised she's not become some sort of symbol for them.
Yeah.
Not a symbol, I don't know. I'm speaking nonsense. But it's a shame, but never mind. I'm sure she'll get over it.
Anyway, that's my first story. this episode. What's your first story?
Well, we had a couple of stories in the last episode, Greg, about Scotland being at the World Cup. And yes, listeners, you're probably going to have to put up with us speaking about this until at least July next year. But the draw was yesterday for the World Cup. So Scotland are drawn in Group C with Brazil, Morocco and Haiti, which is, very interesting draw. But my story is from the Daily Record today, Greg. One Scotland superfan who booked 22 hotel rooms for the World Cup draw, and he's hit the jackpot. So this is Darius Nesbitt. That's a good Scottish surname. Don't know about his first name. No. Darius Nesbitt from Bishopton. He went to extraordinary lengths to make sure he was there to cheer on Steve Clarke's men at next summer's World Cup. Whilst most fans nervously waited for Friday night's group stage draw, the 24-year-old created an extensive plan to chase Scotland around North America from June the 10th to June the 24th. Darius spent at least £3,000 on each of his near 24 hotel rooms, with the option to refund those he would not need, depending on the fixtures. Determined to beat the price surge, he'd already shelled out on flights to Boston, and that plan paid off. As we were drawn into Group C with Brazil, Morocco and Haiti, Group C games are scheduled to be played on the east coast of North America, at either Miami, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Foxborough or East Rutherford. Speaking to the Record after the draw, Darius said, "I don't even know how to explain it. Because I pre-booked Boston flights, in Scotland I've been put in Group C, which means our games will take place on the east coast. I genuinely think I've saved myself thousands of pounds. £300 with a 23 kg bag for Barcelona. That's all it's cost me. I've got all my accommodation sorted, and now I'll just cancel the other reservations I had. They were all refundable. I was meant to go on June 24th, go home, but I genuinely think that with the beer tokens I've saved, if Scotland get deep into the tournament, I'm staying. I managed to do Germany on a budget, but the USA, with the amount of money I've saved, just take a look at Skyscanner tonight. The prices will be going through the roof. Don't get me wrong, it was a risk. But geez, it's a risk that's paid off. That is next level.
Genius.
I was pacing up and down worrying we were going to get put on the West Coast. But out of every single group, Group C, it's literally the jackpot. I've hit the jackpot. So Darius has hit the jackpot. Scotland will play Brazil for the 5th time out of our 9 qualifications for the World Cup, after matches in 74, 82, 90 and 98. We managed a 0-0 draw against the South American Samba Boys in 1974, but lost the following 3 matches, 4-1, 1-0 and 2-1. There's also a chance of redemption against the Moroccans after they booted us out of France 98, hammering us 3-0 in the final group game. And Darius reckons we have enough to do it. The IT analyst says, "I said all along I thought we'd get Brazil or Argentina. It's going to be tough, but if you put your blood, sweat and tears into this, let's see what we can do. I genuinely think if we can get a good togetherness with this squad and keep them match fit and at our best, I think we'll do really well." So there we go. There is not our opinion, the opinion of Darius, who thinks we'll do really well if we can get togetherness and put in our blood, sweat and tears. Did you watch the draw at all, Greg?
No, I was steaming, wasn't I?
Oh, of course you were. Sorry, yeah.
Probably asleep. I saw some of the highlights this morning. I saw the Village People. I saw Trump get his FIFA Peace Prize.
I genuinely couldn't believe what I was watching at some moments. It was just an absolute car crash. And then at the draw, normally I think most people probably switched over. I was on my phone, girlfriend was on her phone, and the TV was still rolling. And then they started playing YMCA, but it was the band playing, and I was like, there's 5 microphones on the stage. Are the Village People about, oh my God, it's the Village People. And Trump dancing away to them. Yeah. It was incredible. I mean, we don't want to go down a Village People road, but they still have the Red Indian. I mean, I can't say Red Indian, Native American.
Yeah.
Surely that's not allowed nowadays. Can you have a Native American? And full headdress and I don't know.
I mean, are all the Village People, the original Village People, still with us, or?
I don't know. I haven't.
I think the original guy who played the Native American might have. I feel he might have passed away a few years ago. I mean, fucking hell, past members, right? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5,
I'm
6,
looking.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21 people have been in the Village People.
So I'm looking at the list on Wikipedia, which I think, oh wow! I mean, Victor Willis, who plays the cop, he was the one doing all the singing yesterday. He left, but he's back.
He's back.
So he is the only original member.
Right.
That's still, the cop. Yeah, he's the original member, but he left for, by the looks of things, about 40 years. But he's back. So that's impressive. That's good going.
Philippe Rose was the American Indian, usually wearing a bespangled war bonnet. And then Alex Brindley was the GI. Glenn Michael Hughes was the Leatherman. David Hodo was a construction worker. And then Randy Jones was the cowboy. So,
what a great name for a cowboy. Randy Jones.
Yeah.
Great name for a village person as well. Yeah, anyway, I loved seeing the Village People. It was very good. But yeah, the draw. So good on Darius. He's managed to hit the jackpot, according to him, in terms of booking all his accommodation and flights, ahead of time. And lucky for him, we are probably we will be on the East Coast. I think the fixtures come out today. It's good going on him. He saved himself a bit of money there.
I do fear a wee bit for the travelling support, because the immigration officers in American airports have to be the unfriendliest people. You know what I mean? Everybody, every time I've arrived, they make me feel guilty, like I'm not telling the truth about why I'm there. You know what I mean? And I'm always telling the truth about why I'm there, obviously. Do you know what I mean? But just when you're leaving, who are you here to see? Blah blah blah. What's the address of your hotel? Where have you come from?
Yeah.
All this sort of stuff, Have you ever been convicted of a war crime? Are you carrying drugs? Have you ever carried drugs? Yeah, I do worry. I do fear for them, because you know that not everybody is going to turn up sober and ready to be interrogated.
No, they will be, getting hammered on the flight, singing songs on the way there. And they are going to be, in some states arriving at, let's face it, if they're flying to East Coast, they're probably going to be flying into, JFK.
New York.
And there will be a few getting turned away, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh well, what did you describe Haiti as? A potential banana peel I saw in the group this morning.
A potential banana skin, It's just because, if you go back to Peru, Costa Rica, it's the type of game that we're all going to be like, we'll hammer them, and then we'll end up losing 1-0 or something. And especially because that's, I thought we'll probably pay them last, but that's our first game. So maybe, potentially we are probably going to be doing the usual, and something will go wrong, and we'll go into the last game against Brazil needing something from that game to qualify.
Needing to win 4-0.
Yeah, we'll be like, we can probably get a draw. A draw's enough to get us through. And then we'll lose 7-0 or something.
But the thing about Scotland is, if they went into the game with Brazil needing to score 4 goals, we'd probably score 3 and lose.
Yeah.
Because, that's just what happens. It's not like, we need to score 4 goals and it's a no-score draw. Or it's, or Brazil beat us 1 or 2-0. We would score 3 goals. So everybody would be like, it's happening. It's happening. And then, the final whistle blows, and or another result, the result of another game goes against us or something like that, and we're fucked.
Yeah, it would definitely be around something like that would happen. Or, we'd need to beat them 4-0, and we'd be 4-0 up in the last minute, and then Brazil would score, and then, it's the Scottish way. It's glorious failure. Yeah. So it was, but it'll be interesting to see. And it was, there was kind of shenanigans, because I was watching the draw live, and there was so many permutations of, 2 teams from Europe in the same group, and you can't have teams from other confederates in the same group as well. So I was like, right, we want pot D, because at that time it was USA and Australia. And you're like, right, that's 2 teams we might have a chance of beating them. Yeah. You never know. They're both very good footballing nations, but you just think, well. And then that pot with Brazil and Morocco, and I'm like, I don't want that, and it's more because not because of beating them. It's like, well, we had that in '98.
Yeah,
like It's all we needed was Norway there as well, and it would have been fucking deja vu. But thankfully, they were in the same pot as us. So I was like, oh no, we can't get them. So I was willing, because I'm like, well, it has to be a European team in that group. There's only us and Norway in this pot. So I'm willing, like, come on, draw Norway. And then Scotland came out, you fucking bastard. So never mind. It'll be a wonderful event, and it'll be nice for us to play Brazil again. But I don't know, it would have been nice to have like a Mexico or something, or, you know.
Who have England got?
They've got Croatia, Ghana, and I don't know, fucking Lapland or something.
Disneyland.
I feel bad for saying that because I'm besmirching Panama. Panama, yeah, you never know.
South America.
Yeah. You never know on their day. But yeah, they've got Croatia, Panama, and Ghana. Ghana, you never know on the day they could. But yeah, unfortunately, they'll probably do quite well. And it's all fixed as well, because when you're watching and Rio Ferdinand is explaining it all to us, and it's like, well, because the top two teams are Spain and Argentina, they will be drawn in separate groups because that way they can't meet until the final. And you're like, right, so you're fixing this tournament.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And then it was like, and pot 3 and 4 are France and England, they can't be together. You know, the earliest they could meet would be the semi-final. So I'm like, well, where's the fun in that? That's just shite. So I really hope that there are some bizarre upsets. Like, you know, like I want to see, because I think my girlfriend, I mean, she's Venezuelan originally, but she spent a lot of time in Curacao. So they are at the World Cup for the first time ever. Their first game's against Germany. And I'm like, you never know. Like Senegal, remember Senegal beating France? And then the last World Cup, Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. And you're like, it can happen. So
and it was they in Saudi they declared it a national holiday the next day after. everybody took the day off work to celebrate. Not like that many of them work, but you know, yeah, brilliant.
So we will wait and see. But I'm saying that, but I don't believe in terms of but Scotland could beat Brazil. Like that's ridiculous. But you never know. But I'm cheering on Ghana and Panama to beat England.
Yeah. You're going to run down to the newsagents and get your Panini book for the World Cup?
No, I think I did that for the Euros years ago. I think I did for the COVID Euros because it was like, well, COVID. So it was kind of like, I bought the book and a pack of stickers, and then I was like, I'm not fucking. Then I just ended up throwing it out. I never was like, I'm not collecting these. It's too expensive. They don't work out. It takes about like 500 quid to complete a book or something, or even more than that.
I mean, the only book that I ever filled, and I think it was because my papa and my dad were quite invested, so they were buying packets of stickers, was the Mexico 86 sticker book. That's the only one that I ever filled. The other ones, like if I had, like, I remember having the Return of the Jedi book, my dad and my papa weren't fucking bothered about that, you know, or the 18. No. I had an 18 one as well, they weren't fucked about that either. But the Mexico 86 book, and like I'd usually get the annual one as well, you know. Like I don't think I bought it every single year because I wasn't like football daft when I was little. I never have been like football daft, you know what I mean? But I liked swapping stickers with people, and you know, I've always liked collecting things. But if it was a choice between like football 88 and I don't know, fucking Batman sticker book, I was buying a Batman sticker book, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have been the same.
Yeah, for sure. Although that would be 1989, not 1988. But you know what I mean. Yeah. So, well, very good. Well, you know, we have qualified out of the group stages in recent memory of big football tournaments, so you never know. I think we've got a good chance.
We've never qualified
not in the World stage. Yeah, we're in the Euros. We did. We got into the top. Did we not? I thought we did in the Euros in 2022.
No.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't win a single game, I think. 2022. No,
yeah, we did. We played England. We drew with England, right?
Yeah, in the group. Yeah.
Sure, we qualified recently.
Nope, never qualified out of the group.
Oh well,
ever.
It's a fucking downer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What were you thinking? The 2021 Euros.
2021 Euros is when we played England, and then
we lost. We lost to Croatia, Czech Republic, and drew with England.
Last year's Euros.
Last year's Euros was 2024? I mean, I know for a fact we needed to beat Hungary, and we lost 1-0. Okay. We drew 1-1 with Switzerland, and we lost, was it 5-1 to Germany? So no. We have never... Yeah, we finished bottom of the group without a win. So yeah, we didn't win a single game in the last 2 major tournaments we've been at.
Awesome.
You keep thinking that we have, Greg, and it makes life better.
Mandela thing. I had the Mandela thing with something else recently, just like this week, and I forgot what it was. Maybe it'll come back to me. Oh well, fair play.
Oh, well. Let's see how we get on. Okay, Greg, what else have you seen this week?
Well, just before I go on to my next story, I've been engaging in a bit of online shithousery. Because been a big it brings me so much joy. There's been a big story about Nigel Farage saying, I would say that something about only 25% of Scottish kids have English as a first language or some bullshit like that. I can't remember what it was. So it's been sort of making its way onto my Facebook feed, and I can't resist reading some of the comments, but I never engage with a conversation. I just read the comments, and he has a lot of people who agree with him, which is a bit worrying. I always thought that sort of collectively we were a bit more open-minded, but it seems there's quite a lot of roasters that agree with him. So what I've been doing, my shithousery has been putting a picture, because I don't know if you've ever noticed the resemblance that Nigel Farage bears to Lord Charles, the old ventriloquist dummy from the 1970s and 80s. But basically,
I never thought about that, but yeah, you're right. They do.
I've basically been putting this picture, and every time that story comes up, I just drop it into the comments, regardless of whatever newspaper it is.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. And some people get really fucking angry about it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. I had a guy giving me fucking dogs abuse the other day, and then I think somebody took his I don't know if the newspaper whose account it was or whatever, I don't know if they sort of had a bit of a call and took some comments down, because one guy was fucking deeply offensive. Anyway, so yeah, if you see, if any listeners see stories about Nigel Farage, if you want to laugh and you don't agree with his politics, drop a wee picture of Lord Charles in. It sends his followers fucking bananas. Anyway, here is my next story. Comes from the Daily Record this week. Yep. It's so funny because the Daily Record has obviously sort of tags on what type of news it is, right? And it's got, so the tag for this one is news pornography.
They have a tag for pornography. Great.
Yeah, I wonder what else is on there. I'll click it later. US porn tycoon buys up posh Scots hotel after making millions from X-rated movies. Gail Thackeray bought the Roman Camp Hotel and Calendar, with the property set to reopen in spring 2026 under the name Thackeray House. Gail Thackeray, who made millions from her own adult movie empire, and her daughter Sydney have bought over the Roman Camp Hotel and Calendar in Perthshire. Gail, who's originally from Yorkshire, built a career in Los Angeles as a model, actress and adult movie producer. She later made millions in the phone sex business and as a pioneer of internet porn. Her daughter Sydney is Gail's partner in the new hotel venture, as well as pursuing her own singing and acting career. The hotel has a fascinating history with links to both British musical royalty with the Beatles and old-time Hollywood with the director Cecil B. DeMille. Speaking about the purchase, Gail said, "This is a magical place." Oh, actually, Gail said, "This is a magical place with one of the richest histories I've ever encountered." That's her porn voice. Stick it up the ass. What? The moment I stepped inside, I felt the spirit of the 17th century still alive in the panels, the antiques and the atmosphere. As a lifelong Beatles fan, knowing they've stayed here makes it even more meaningful. My vision is to preserve the historic charm completely while offering guests an intimate, elevated, boutique experience that feels authentically Scottish. I'm sure that's not how she speaks, because she did my phone sex business, which might have done. It always makes me think of Vic Reeves doing Barry White, you know. Speaking in 2019, Gail, who once modelled for Tetley's Bitter, you'll be shocked to hear,
Oh my God.
and later won a part in Baywatch, described how she had built up her £40 million business empire in the sex industry. However, she stressed, "I'm not a porn star. I've never been a porn star." Gail described how stars such as Tom Sizemore, Jack Nicholson and Charlie Sheen would come to the set to watch her adult movies being made, and she told how she could have been a major A-lister herself, saying, "Now I kick myself for refusing to sleep with producers because I were offered some films that could have made me a superstar." Earlier this year, Sydney, her daughter, became the youngest person ever to receive a knighthood from the Pope for extraordinary humanitarian service. The well-known hotel will reopen in spring 2026 under the new name Thackeray House. The Thackeray family has committed nearly £3 million to an extensive restoration of the hotel and the estate. So there you go. Thackeray House will be open soon for weddings, I don't know, parties, adult film shoots. Maybe, who knows?
Wow, okay. I'm just down a rabbit hole because I was Googling Gail Thackeray. So, yeah, professions, actress, glamour model. There's her with her bits out. All very 80s style. Yeah. Oh, wow. So this is going to be, a lovely little hotel, but it's not going to be porn, like,
no.
What's the word I'm looking for? Themed. Why couldn't I find the fucking word themed?
No, she's going to, she's going to have some special suites. So there's going to be, because of the link to the Beatles, they're going to have a John Lennon room and a Paul McCartney suite. The lodge was built in 1625 by the Duke of Perthshire. It was his stately home. So she's going to, hopefully, I mean, it looks quite nice. I've seen some pictures of it here. I guess these are before she's done her refurb work on it. So we'll see. I mean, it's Calendar's lovely. That was one of my late papa's favourite places to go with my granny. Calendar. I don't know how he'd feel about a dirty films mogul buying a
delighted.
Hotel. They probably would be delighted, to be honest. I've seen some of the magazines he had in his shed.
Yeah, I've been to Calendar. It's a lovely place.
It is a lovely place. Very nice.
Very nice. Very quiet. I think I played around at Calendar Golf Club, actually.
Oh, yeah?
It's a nice place. So, nice. She'll fit right in, I'm sure. And she'll, the little Calendar tea room and stuff. And, she can tell all the people about her past and stuff like that.
I think it's like the building is actually painted pink, the Roman camp. The stonework on the outside is pink. Maybe that's what attracted her to it, perhaps.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. Gail Thackeray. To have a bit more research on that later.
Have a little study about that later, yeah? Okay, good to know, yeah.
It's funny, like, I don't know, I know you're not a big fan of the Beatles, right? But, like, I sort of spent 9 hours with them at all ages of their lives last weekend, and there's something, like Ringo, George and John are all charming, right? And George Harrison actually quite funny, all the way through, like being interviewed and stuff. Quite a dry sense of humor, which I like, and I'm sure Ringo's a fucking lovely guy. There's something, I don't know, with Paul McCartney. You just feel like he's never had the kind of easy charm that the other three had and have. He just feels like I'm sure he's a lovely fella, Paul McCartney, right? I'm sure he is. And I would love to sit and have a cup of tea with him and ask him lots of questions about being Paul McCartney and stuff. But I don't know, there's just, when he's younger, there's something a wee bit snide, when you see him being interviewed. I'm sure, but maybe that's just because he was a serious musician and he was the one that, towards the end, who was trying to kind of rally the troops and get them to record stuff and all that. But I don't know.
And do you think he retained that snideness throughout his life, or did he change after he was replaced when he died?
Yeah, maybe that's what happened. Maybe they got in. Yeah, maybe that's what happened. Maybe like it's a snidier guy that replaced the original Paul.
Do you buy into that
No.
Paul died?
It's an absolute no.
Yeah. It's one of very early conspiracy theory, that, the nut jobs. No, I've never really been a fan of the Beatles. My mum was.
I know George was your mum's favourite, right? I mean, telling me.
Yeah, he was. So I think that's why, I guess he's my favourite, but I don't really have a favourite Beatle. Ringo, because obviously did Thomas the Tank Engine. John was dead before I was born, so never knew him. And I don't know. Paul seems, he's the one that's probably the most famous in terms of
for sure.
For my lifetime anyway. So I don't know, but now I just know him for, being married to Heather Mills.
Well, she was the one with one leg, right? That beat him up.
Yeah.
Beaten up by a one-legged supermodel.
Very strange. Yeah. Poor Paul. Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah, but never mind. Oh, well. That's lovely that he, now knows he'll have a suite dedicated to him at this porn star hotel.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll go and stay. He likes Scotland, right? But I think the Mother of Kintyre is his favourite spot.
Yeah, indeed. Oh well, we'll wait and see with bated breath if he attends the opening of the porn hotel. Stop calling it a porn hotel. It's not a porn hotel. It'll be lovely. Thackeray House.
But the thing is, Thackeray, it sort of sounds like maybe a word you could use for masturbating. You know what I mean?
It does. Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, it wouldn't be out of place in Roger's Profanosaurus. Yeah, you're right. Having a good old Thackeray.
Thackeray to Gail Thackeray.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, talked about this lady long enough. Good luck to you, Gail. What's your next story this week?
My next story and my last story for the year, Greg. I've gone with a nice one. Let's celebrate Scotland and for all it's lovely. A Scottish city has been named the happiest place to live, and it's not Edinburgh or Glasgow. So a historic city has been named Scotland's happiest place to live. This is from the Daily Record this week, and it's neither Glasgow or Edinburgh. On Friday, December the 5th, Rightmove revealed the results of its annual Happy at Home study that names the most happy destinations in the UK based on a survey of thousands of residents. According to property experts, the happiest place to live in Scotland, drumroll, is Stirling. The city was also named the 8th happiest place in the whole of the UK, behind destinations such as Skipton in North Yorkshire. Maybe is that where Gail Thackeray's from? She's from Yorkshire. Skipton. Richmond upon Thames in Greater London, and Woodbridge in East Suffolk. Stirling, which was ranked the happiest place to live in Scotland by its residents, is located in central Scotland. It is known for landmarks as the medieval Stirling Castle, which sits on a craggy volcanic rock, and the 19th century National Wallace Monument Tower that looks out over the city. It was also found to have the lowest property prices out of all the locations featured in the top 10 happiest places. The average asking price of a home is £226,000, the average monthly rent of £1,200. Scotland's Now's Alexander Smale recently spent a day in Bridge of Allan, just outside Stirling, visiting the beauty spots and popular shops and bakeries. He described falling in love with the small town, which elsewhere, the second happiest place in Scotland, has been named as Kirkcaldy. So yeah, very nice, yeah.
Comes up later.
Which it does, yeah, it does indeed. The town ranked number 56 on the list. So the top 10 happiest places in Scotland, we'll just skip to that, is Stirling, Kirkcaldy, then it's Edinburgh, then Inverness, then Perth, Paisley, Dumfries, Kilmarnock, Dundee, and rounding out the top 10, Glasgow. Now, there we go. The happiest places to live in Scotland, Greg. Aberdeen isn't on the list because it's a fucking miserable place.
Yeah, Aberdonians are not famous for their happiness.
Now, say it all. Say it all. Yeah, I'm an Aberdonian.
The ones that live there anyway, because they spend quite a lot of time complaining about living in Aberdeen. No, they don't complain about living in Aberdeen. They just complain about Aberdeen. It's near the same.
Yeah, but it's because they don't like change.
No,
it's
they
when
don't.
you change something, it's like, oh no, but it's not as good as it used to be, and oh no, I don't like that.
But the thing is, but they complain about things being the way they are, because like these. I remember for as long as I could remember, like St Nicholas House on Broad Street, everybody can hate, and it was a hideous building, because it's right, because Marshall College is like in the shadow of, or was in the shadow of St Nicholas House, pretty much. It looked even. That's a beautiful building. It looked even uglier, and so finally they tear it down, and something needs to be built in its place, right? You can't just have a big fucking hole in the ground. And they don't like what's that sort of glass sort of restaurant and business tower. I can't remember what it's called. I've never been in it because it was built after I moved away. You know what I mean?
The name escapes me now as well. I can't remember. But yeah, I know there was a bit of people are never happy though. Whatever happens, never happy. Always find something to moan or complain about. But I guess that's not why it's a happy place to live.
Well, I'm happy that for Stirling, 'cause my papa, who's getting a lot of airtime this episode, came from Stirling, and was very proud of the fact that he was from Stirling. So I've got family there, but I'm ashamed to say that since my father passed away, I've kind of sort of lost touch a little bit with them, because he was like the sort of conduit, his cousins and all that in Stirling and stuff. But I do like Stirling. It's a nice place. I used to like going there. I worked in Stirling for a little while in the Wolf Craigs building. Yeah, I ran the filling station in the Wolf Craigs, just at the very, 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 very edge of the sort of the city centre.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, no, Stirling's a lovely place. I've been a few times, and it's very nice. I mean, I think people of our age, maybe it's always going to be associated for me with, Dougie Donnelly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say William Wallace.
No.
Robert the Bruce. Okay.
Always going to be associated with, Stirling near Tillicoultry. And yeah, those
Sterling
adverts would be doing the rounds. And I know it's a furniture shop, but still. That's just what it always kind of reminds me of in terms of when I think of Stirling.
I think he's advertised in the Culture Swally in the past, hasn't he?
He certainly has. Yeah, he has. I think a couple of times. Actually.
Yeah.
Sterling, I think that was our very first advert.
Stirling, Tillicoultry, and you're Stirling.
Yeah. Good old Dougie Donnelly. Yeah.
That's just one of those adverts that's sort of kind of printed on your DNA, I think, if you're of our age growing up in Scotland. The Iron Brew adverts, especially the first one where they send up the Coke advert, where it's like a song and everything, and that Sterling advert. And what's it called? Cumbernauld. When Cumbernauld was having a bit of a marketing campaign to try and convince people that it wasn't a fucking shithole.
Gregory's Girl was filmed here. Come on, it's Cumbernauld.
Where?
Yeah.
Where is the UK's only man-made lake? Oh, sorry. Where's the UK's only man-made loch? What's it called? Cumbernauld.
Wonderful advert. But yeah, I think you're right. It is like Stirling, probably that. Iron Brew. I mean, the Tennants and McEwen's adverts. And well, for me, I think the one that is always is the Tartan Special one. I just fucking love that. I've used that a couple of times on the pod. I just love that. And I want a pint of Tartan Special. Hello there, and I have to come in. I love that. Fucking love it. Yeah, wonderful. Oh, very good. So good on Stirling. Known for more than just Dougie Donnelly.
Absolutely.
Okay, right. Have you seen anything else this week, Greg?
No, that's all. I'm keen to wade into our, not really a film, not really a TV show, our comedy special this week.
Perfect. Okay, right. Well, before we go on to what we're going to be talking about, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
Here's a little lesson in the art and science of brewing. It's possible to take quite a lot of the alcohol out of a beer and make it taste fine. But I reckon it takes all the skills of a brewer like Guinness to take all of the alcohol out and still have the taste of a premium lager. But then, you all know that anyway.
Anyway, so since it was kind of my choice last week. That means that it was back for you to pick again this week. So why don't you introduce what we're going to be talking about?
Thanks, Greg. Well, yes, today we are taking a look at the 1987 Billy Connolly special, Billy and Albert, which might be a strange choice for a New Year episode, but the reason being, and this links into what we've just been discussing, for me, Christmas 87, I just associated with the TV advert for this VHS. It just seemed to be promoted so much, and the iconic cover, and it just seemed that every single one of my uncles or male neighbours that was around about in their 30s, 40s, 50s seemed to get this VHS that Christmas. It just seemed like the obvious gift. So I do kind of associate it with around about this time. So that's why we're discussing it today. So this performance was one of 6 consecutive sold-out gigs that Billy did at London's Royal Albert Hall. And it was filmed in July 1987, in which Billy delivers his unique brand of humour to a load of daft paper hat-wearing toffs. Which we'll get into shortly. So Greg, I mean, it needs no introduction. It's Billy Connolly at, I guess, kind of his peak. And Billy and Albert, do you remember the VHS being promoted as much as I do, or is this a Nicky memory?
No, I do. I remember the adverts for it. I mean, I don't think I could have said it was Christmas 1987, but I do remember it being promoted, and it was one of those ones that everybody seemed to have either on video, or I remember some people having like the record of it. You know what I mean? The album, like on vinyl. The kind of 2 Billy Connolly albums that just everybody seemed to have when I was a kid was Raw Meat for the Balcony and this one. You know, and Raw Meat for the Balcony is like one of his first ones. I think it's got the Crucifixion and Last Supper and all that on it, and the Jobby Weaker. There's a lot more songs and things on it, and obviously he bookends his performance here with a wee banjo song, Say Darling Say at the start, and then he plays the auto harp at the end. But I think that this might be the last stand-up special of his where he plays an instrument.
Yeah, it is. I looked it up,
because I think the one after this was the one in 1990 when he shaved his beard off for the big man, when he's talking about Rottweilers and stuff and going in the sea at Aberdeen with his woolen swimsuit on. He didn't play anything at that one. So the auto harp looks really difficult to play. I'm quite impressed because when I was reading, I've read a bit about Billy Connolly over the years. Like, I read his wife Pamela's book about him, and I read his autobiography, and I actually think her biography of him is better than his own, if I'm being really honest. But he didn't start playing instruments until he was well into his 20s, you know? I mean, I've been trying to play the guitar since I was 13. And I'm not really any better now than I was when I was like 18 or 19. So to kind of pick up an instrument at that age and become, and not just one instrument, because he plays the guitar, he plays the banjo, and he played the auto harp. So to be good at 3 instruments and start so late, you know what I mean? As well as having his natural charm and being really funny, you know, he's a fucking lucky bastard.
I think it's strange because this tour kind of marks, for me, it's almost like a shift of Connolly. Like this is almost the last of that era of him in a way, because this was recorded July 87, and this was like the final stages. He did a world tour which covered England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Australia, New Zealand, and America. And he speaks about, you know, trying to break America in this show. And this was the tour that he kind of actively pushed to become popular in America. And I think this was when he started restyling his material a bit. And as we said, this is the last tour that he played an instrument on stage on. And this was also his first sober tour, because he has a bottle of Perrier water next to him. And this was the first time he was sober. Yeah. And it just feels like it's almost the end of an era of Connolly and the beginning of a new one, because after this he goes off to America and does like Billy and, you know, things like that, and then becomes a bit of an actor.
What was the head of the class, something like that? He's a teacher, right?
And he becomes, I don't want to say safer, but I do wonder, like, this show because it's in the Royal Albert Hall, is it a bit more toned down? If it had been for a Scottish audience, would it? And you think, well, why was it filmed at the Albert Hall? Why not in Glasgow?
Yeah.
And maybe it's because he was trying to promote himself as a comedian for everyone, not just a Scottish comedian. And is the Glasgow crowd going to be too raucous and shouting back? I mean, I joke about toffs and paper hats, but that's what the audience kind of is on this show.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it because my favourite stand-up show of his has always been the 1985 An Audience with Billy Connolly, but the extended cut, because there's two versions of it. There's the uncut version that's a little bit bluer, and then there's what they broadcast in the TV. And what they broadcast in the TV, it's got the kind of classic stuff in it, but there's a lot of other bits that are left out. There's a lot more, it goes quite quickly to the Q&A with all the famous people in the audience, whereas the uncut one's got a bit more comedy in it. And he seems really at ease in that, and he's really, really funny. He's really, he's really good on his feet, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But with this one, he doesn't get too edgy. He sort of criticises, he kind of takes a piss out of Ronald Reagan, which you could change Reagan for Trump and that would go fine now, that little routine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
completely.
Absolutely fine. And then it's all quite silly humour, do you know what I mean? There's a fair bit of toilet humour. The bit where he's talking about being sick, it just goes on maybe just a little bit too long, And then and his kind of wrap up is a bit abrupt. It's sort of suddenly he's just finishing. You know what I mean? And I hadn't watched this for a really, really, really long time, but I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't see it in 1987. There's no way that I would have been allowed to watch this in 1987. So I saw it, I think, around 1993 or 1994. Somebody lent me it and I watched it with my mum. And I remember just being helpless with laughter. And my mum as well. The bit with the wanking excuse, the spiders and stuff, and in particular, like my mum was like kneeling on the floor with her head on the sofa, absolutely howling with laughter at certain bits of it. And I hadn't seen this for years and years. Like I couldn't even a really long time since I'd seen this. Like a really, really, really long time. And I was looking forward to, I didn't think that it would get me in the same way it got me when I watched it the first time when I was like 15 or whatever age I was, 14 or 15. But I thought, there'll be some bits that absolutely kill me again. I can't read it forward. There'll be bits that I've forgotten that will make me laugh. And I don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it, and I did laugh, but I didn't laugh the way I laughed the first time I saw it all those years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it's an odd show in a way to look back on now. And I found a little bit, because I've recently done a stand-up comedy course, so I kind of have been watching a lot of stand-up of late.
Right.
And I was really looking forward to watching this, and I really enjoyed it. But what I'm saying about it being a bit safe, and I think it's the change in Connolly at this time, because he mentions a few times about how he's fucking loaded, how great it is, and you're almost like, I don't want to hear that from you. I want to hear, and like for example, the bit when he's talking about going scuba diving, and the funniest part of that is when he says about the shark that plays the cello for Jaws. Like that's funny. But when he's talking about scuba diving and all this, and I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I want to hear about, the part that I really want to hear about is Met Hill Steelworks Club in Fife, where the dog shits on the floor and there's a guy with a lump in his neck. I want to hear more of the grassroots stuff, as we said during the news, Kirkcaldy, it should be called What's That Fucking Smell? I kind of, is it because I just want to hear Scottish stuff, or because that's the grassroots stuff I associate with Connolly? It's the kind of transitional period, this almost. And but you're right, in terms of, there are bits like when he's doing the vomiting thing, it does go on a bit too much. However, there is a lot here. You could do this show now. It's exactly as you said, if you just replaced Trump with Reagan, and maybe don't mention Gaddafi and Thatcher, but other than that, it's very similar. It could stand out today.
But strangely enough, I don't worry about like a nuclear holocaust or something like that, because I've got used to that. It's coming. Everybody knows. Everybody knows it's coming. The headbangers are in charge. Gaddafi, the fucking head case. Reagan, Thatcher, they're all out to lunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, if occasionally, and I haven't for a while, but occasionally I'll go back and listen to The Last Supper and the Crucifixion. And, you know, it was quite controversial at the time because of, I think it was controversial because of the subject matter, but also because he, you know, Connolly was raised as a Roman Catholic and all that. So in a lot of ways, nobody's better placed to kind of poke fun at Christianity than somebody who was raised in that kind of environment. But it's really, really, really clever and very, very funny. Still, I mean, his accent is he hadn't sort of filtered the kind of broader Glaswegian kind of terminology out of his accent at that point, so he was still very, very, very Glaswegian. And so, you know, like I tried to get my daughter to listen to it, and it was kind of lost on her a bit because she wasn't brought up in a religious house, so we never went to church or anything, so she's not as familiar with the Bible as we would be, just because we would get the Bible at school growing up in some respect, you know, to some extent, and also because his accent's so broad, she didn't get everything, every word, you know, she doesn't know what a Simmet is. You know what I mean? She doesn't know what tearing lumps out of the mother's pride refers to, right? And all that kind of thing. But, you know, if you put all that to one side and just listen to it, it's really, really, really clever. Very, very, very clever. And some of the stuff that he does in that audience with as well, like the incontinence knickers and all that, it's really clever comedy. You know what I mean? And with a broad appeal. I don't know. I think in this one, there are just some bits. He doesn't seem as at ease on the stage here, which is surprising because he mentions that that was the end of he'd been on all week, right? Yeah. And I think that was the last night. Then you would think, well, because he does say, you know, like I'm always nervous when I come out because of the room, and I guess it's a historical venue, isn't it? The Albert Hall. Everyone's played there.
Oh yeah.
Over the years. So he doesn't. There's later. Specials of his where he seems much, much more at ease than he does here. I think there are moments where he just seems a little bit fish out of water occasionally on it, you know, that doesn't quite have the audience. When he's having fun with them at the start, when they're when people are coming in late and all that kind of thing, that's when he seems, you know, he's quite relaxed, he's quite at ease there. But then later on, when he's having to go into his, when he's going into his routines and things, he doesn't seem as relaxed.
No, it does feel quite not forced, but yeah, he's going through the motions kind of way, and there are occasional little snapshots. The bit that almost snaps him out, and you're like, that's Billy, is after he's just finished talking about the excuse for masturbation. Yeah. And an audience member goes to the toilet and he's like, that's a brave guy there, you know, where he's going. And then he has a laugh and says, right, you know, what we'll do is when he comes back, we'll all hide. And, you know, that's what you want from Connolly. And I think watching this as well, I was able to take out a few things like, why? What is his appeal? Why is it? And it's because, and he's always had it, and he still does. He's just, it's a childlike humour. That Billy has. He talks about jobbies and farts and condoms, and it's funny. It's things that kids in the playground will laugh at. And, you know, might not understand it, but it's funny, you know, a jobby. And I think that, you know, I mean, the VHS cover of this does say contains material that some people might find offensive. Yeah. You know, apart from a bit of swearing, which there's not a huge amount either. Like, no. I don't know, is it maybe the condom thing or the vomiting? I don't know. But
is it maybe they joke about the blind guy spinning his dog around on his leash in the shop?
I don't know. Maybe.
Or the shop assistant who's a bit light on the loafers.
That was the one bit I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know. And then he does the voice. And you're like, oh, okay.
And I was standing there looking at the carpet, and this man came out of the office, very light on the loafers. Oh. And he asked me the worst possible question you can ask Billy Connolly. Are you who I think you are? Because I tend to say, okay, if I can give in, who do you think I am?
But I mean, that's that's where Billy really came from. I mean, obviously, we've had him a few times, discussed him on the podcast before, but, you know, you kind of forget reading back about, obviously he was in the Humble Bums, you know, folk music, and then it kind of transitioned into a solo act. And then really, I think it was really his appearance in Parkinson in 75 that became, you know, and it's the famous one where he tells the joke about the guy parking his bike. And again, childish joke that's funny, but yeah, that just kind of, and him and Parkinson just seemed to have this special connection and relationship really that was just wonderful. You always knew, like, I guess if Parky was ever in doubt, get Billy on, you know, we'll have a laugh there.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely has a real rapport, and they were good friends. I think they became good friends, you know what I mean, over the years. But yeah, you're right in that. They have watched a couple of documentaries about him, and, you know, he had gone from being like a really, really quite famous in Scotland as a performer. After telling that joke, bear in mind, Parkinson, probably one of the most watched TV shows of the time.
Yeah.
And like literally the next day, he's national news, you know what I mean? And you know, like his song, the Tammy Wynette song that he does, his funny cover of DIVORCE, you know, about the dog biting his arse and all that kind of thing. That was at number 1 in the charts.
I know, incredible.
Yeah. It's just like a silly song, you know, and the welly boot song and all that, you know.
No, it was brilliant. And I mean, when you think about this time, because I was trying to think about this era, and around about that time, Christmas was always there'd be adverts for stand-up comedy videos and things. But when you think back to it, it was all Roy Chubby Brown or Jethro was another one. It was always advertised, or Jim Davidson. And I mean, that says a lot about the state of fucking the UK at the time, that they were the ones being promoted. But yeah, Connolly's just they are obviously a lot more kind of political and adult humour. Whereas then you've got this guy just talking about vomiting and jobbies and, you know, Jaws. It's just it's nice, safe-ish humour with Connolly, but delivered in just a wonderful way. Like, and he even alludes to it at one point, you know, when he says that he's a big, hairy Scotsman who likes to punch the occasional photographer. There's a little glimpse behind him there when he's like, you know, you start paying me for the fucking photo. Because he did get into a bit of bother over the years, did Billy? But, you know, he's almost retained that. He's a handy guy as well. Like, you wouldn't want to get stuck in a dark alley with him if he was in a bad mood.
No, for sure. I think especially in his, you know, he had to stop drinking because he, you know, I guess he just became somebody else. You know, I think his wife Pamela kind of maybe gave him a bit of an ultimatum after they got together that it was either her or booze, and luckily for him he chose her. But I think he comes from that place. You know what I mean? Like, kind of born in Partick, grew up in Drumchapel when he was older, worked in the shipyards, kind of comes from a working class background. You know what I mean? And you know, I guess that was just how it was then. If somebody fucked about, then you kind of stuck one on them, you know, and that was and got on with your day. You know, it's obviously very it's very different now, because you can't just go around punching people that piss you off, because it's not as tolerated as it used to be.
Quite early on, he does a little sketch. He does a bit about sending Scots to invade India. And with the bagpipes and a wee Afghani smoking. And he does an impression of like the English kind of generals. And he's like, Nigel. And I'm like, is that where it originates from? Or has it been long before then? Because we still call English Nigels. Well, and
on the audience with, when he's making fun of the epilogue, and they said it's always like it's always an English vicar called Nigel, you know, and he's, you know, I was listening to the radio the other day, and I said to my son, Nigel Jr., I said, son, you know, so he says, I don't know if that's just his name for this sort of soft-spoken, kind of upper middle class English people, you know, I don't know. Nigella.
I wondered if that had just the way it had been adopted. I mean, because I know, I guess it's maybe from listening to Off the Ball for years, they always call the English Nigels. And I just thought that was what we called the English. But yeah, I wondered if it came from Billy or if it had been a long kind of standing thing before then, if it was a Glaswegian term maybe that he had just kind of made famous, but I wasn't sure about that.
See, the Scottish ones, they used them in Britain to increase the empire. You know, when they were wanting to make the empire bigger, they didn't send some bloody Nigel in to India. Said, Nigel, go and make us a bit of room, will you? Nigel goes, excuse me, you may have a little coming in here, make a little empire. No, they got a bunch of Scottish guys to frighten them shitless. Right, and you go, fucking hell.
But yeah, you could tell he's still, obviously, you know, what he's saying about go to Scotland, it's lovely, you know, go to Aberdeen, go to Dundee, go to Fife, you know, lovely talking about Fife, but don't come back and say it was raining. Of course it fucking rained. Then there's a couple of jokes in here, I'm like, that's a really old joke, but did it originate here? Like, I mean, it didn't, but when he's talking about, you know, his granddad dropping 50p and hitting him in the back of the neck, that's such an old joke. But then I'm doubting myself, like, did it come from here? Did that come?
No,
it's not. It's an old joke. The same with the Scots inventing copper wire, two men fighting over a penny. It's like, I just wasn't sure. There's a couple of little jokes that he plows in. The one with the snowplow. How does the snowplow driver get to work in the morning? And I'm like, that's old. But then I'm like, well, I'm watching something from 1987. Maybe that's where it came from.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's like it's almost 40 years old at this stage. This performance. One of my favourite bits in it is when he's talking about this little joke about the cameramen filming the lions in the Serengeti. It's really funny. But I don't know if he'd quite, you know, maybe like going up, because I think like his older stand-up shows, there would be a lot of songs in between the routines, and obviously the songs lessened over the years and the routines got longer. And I think what you said earlier on about it being a bit of a transition for him, I wonder if maybe not being able to put the guitar in front of him or the banjo in front of him between him and the audience in such a big room like the Albert Hall. I mean, I don't know how many people would have been in there, but a good few thousand, a lot of people. You know, and you know, I think in his sort of route to the Albert Hall was, you know, I guess he would have played much smaller rooms when he was coming up originally, and Met Hill Workers Union and in Fife, for example, or wherever, on his way to being famous. So I don't know, like, he doesn't seem as at ease just having to be funny for like 90 minutes. Whereas before he could take a wee break and play a song. And it might be a funny song, but it would be a funny song that he played a load of times before. You know, like the Weather Boot song, for example, or whatever. So I don't know, because I think his next one at the Hammersmith Odeon, he seems. I mean, he looks different, for one. His hair's shorter, the beard's off. So he looks like a different person, because, you know, like I remember when he shaved his beard off in the early 90s, and it was like, fucking hell, because you just associated him looking that way, you know, with the big beard and the long hair and everything. And I wonder if that is it. You know, it's just he's not quite hit his kind of apex in terms of being 100% stand-up comic at this stage, but then be into the 90s with like live at the Hammersmith Odeon, his World Tour of Scotland that he did, and all the, you remember that programme, and they showed a lot of live stuff there as well, and some of his best observational stuff is there, you know. I find in this one, when he's making silly noises, like when he's doing the or he's pretending to snorkel, it just goes on a wee bit too long, you know.
Yeah.
Or he's making the kind of the kind of puke up noises and stuff, it's like, and the fart noises and stuff, it goes on just too long. It becomes a bit uncomfortable. You say, hey, come on, keep it moving. You know, we know that you can make a funny noise.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I'd written down like on this. He does. I didn't realize quite how much he acts out things, and he really goes into it. Whether it's the couple sex noises or the vomiting or even the snorkeling, and he really does act out a lot of things. And I wondered if that's, you know, if he's thinking time almost, because I did the master class. It was a Steve Martin master class and about comedy, and it's about 9 hours long or something, and then just watching the whole thing. And he talks about, you know, he started off playing the banjo on stage and doing magic tricks and stuff because he just wanted to be on stage. He wanted to find something to do. And the funny comedy came into it. And he says, you know, whenever you're on stage, always be doing something, you know. So they showed clips of him like, I'm going to take a drink of water and drinking water. And he's like, I was thinking what to say next. Thing. And I wonder if Connolly's acting out and he's trying to think, right, what's the next bit? Okay, because he does at one point say, I ramble until I remember what I'm supposed to be saying, and I did wonder if that was why he's going to those lengths. But similar to Steve Martin, who played the banjo, how do you feel about the musical kind of interludes of like a Connolly early work compared to this, where it just opens and closes and then that's it? He doesn't use it again.
I quite like it, you know, if I'm being honest, because he doesn't, like, his voice, his singing voice it's not great, you know. He's not got a beautiful voice, but he is in tune, and he's a good musician. So, and some of his funny songs are really funny. Like he does, what is it? I'll be your short-haired police cadet from Mary Hill to the tune of the Osmonds, long-haired lover from Liverpool. I'll be your short-haired police cadet from Mary Hill. Stuff like that is, you know, he's a good songwriter. But I remember reading in his autobiography, because it was famously Jerry Rafferty joined him and Tam Harvey in the Humble Bums, and he said it was really playing with Jerry Rafferty that made me realise that I was never going to be a musician in the way that we wanted to be. He said, because he said I was getting better all the time. He said, but Jerry was just on a different level. He said he had a feel for music that I never had, not the same way. He said, you know, I knew that I would never be a musician, like in the way that we aspired to be musicians. But he knew he could make people laugh, you know. So no, I don't mind it. I feel really bad for him that he can't play his instruments anymore, because obviously, you know, he's dealing with Parkinson's, and I know that he was, you know, I'm saying that he played every single day, you know, of his life. He played every day for himself. So it's a shame that he can't do it anymore. But yeah, no, I don't mind them. Well, how do you feel about his musical output? I'm
okay with that in terms of because it's where his origins are, and I think it adds something to the show as well. You know, like I've never seen him live, but I've seen clips of like Bill Bailey, for example, doing his show, and a lot of it is musical instrument based and things. And I think because that's his roots, and I think because Connolly started off really as the musician and then developed into a comedy music act, then moving on to just straight stand-up, I think it still needed that element, because, you know, you're not thinking like, oh, great, he's starting playing the banjo. Okay. You know, it's not like when Jen sings at Lost at Christmas for you that you fast forward. You're wanting to watch it because you think it's going to be funny and it's going to be something you're going to get out of it. So I do like the song elements that he does, and it's almost a shame that he doesn't do it more in this show. And then, you know, as I say, that's it. He doesn't play them on stage again, really.
No, I remember seeing him have a wee jam with Sting on Parkinson when Parky came back to the BBC. I think it would have been maybe the early 2000s or the mid 2000s or something, and he was on with Sting, and they had a wee jam together. He played his banjo and Sting played the guitar. So yeah, I don't
say the lute.
Yeah. I remember him making fun of Sting in one of his stand-ups. Remember, he's like, we see Sting, he's on Wogan with that guy with the CD in his mouth. Because Sting was taking that sort of African tribesman guy around everywhere with him for some reason. It's like, strap the guitar back on and go back to fucking work. so it was quite funny to see him on. Well, I guess I always get the feeling that Sting takes himself quite seriously. So he obviously never saw Billy roasting them on that stand up.
Yeah, I think Sting does take himself very seriously. Yeah, definitely. Now, there's a slight joke here that he references. Is that where you got the inspiration from? Because he does mention about having a wank when you're thinking about Crossroads or Neighbours. And you have mentioned on the pod before that you were trying to write a bit of material about having a wank to Neighbours. Is that where this came from?
No, because he talks about watching those programmes and thinking, right, life's not worth living anymore. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be... I mean, I don't remember much about Crossroads because I think it was off. It wasn't really on anymore by the time I was in that stage of my young life. But it's always
wanking.
Yeah, so the old self-abuse stage. But Neighbours, for sure, you know, absolutely.
It's funny because in that part of the show, he does mention about, you know, masturbation and how the statistic about men, and he's like, how do they know? Because anybody I ever ask, like, doesn't do it. And I'm like, fuck, how times have changed in terms of, you know, even 20 years ago when we were like of that age, you know, in our early 20s, I'm sure we all talked about it or weren't shy, but yeah, I guess it was still taboo back in the early 80s or something.
I remember when I lived in Maud in Aberdeenshire, like I had a friend called Barry, and sadly Barry had lost his mum when he was about 9 before I met him, so it was just Barry and his dad. And because it was just Barry and his dad, Barry had a pretty long leash, you know, and his dad was a member. Do you remember, like, you could join like the Britannia and like see music club, video club? Well, his dad would join it, and his dad used to get, like, I think you had to order a certain number of CDs or videos a month, right? That's how it worked. Yeah. So his dad, mainly Barry would usually pick the films. There would be action films. It would be stuff like RoboCop or Predator, that kind of all the stuff that was, or the AWOL with Jean-Claude Van Damme, all that kind of stuff. And he got Sliver, the Sharon Stone film. Right, remember that one? It was like her second sexy film after Basic Instinct, and so me and him and this other, I think his name was Chris. It's an English kid who he had moved to the village and we were friends with him, and we were all staying over at Barry's, and we sit down to watch Sliver, which we do. And after like the kind of big sex scene, Chris is like, Barry, I'm going to go and have a wank in your bathroom. So sorry, he's fucking. I can only assume that he probably did. He's just like,
oh my god.
He's like, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Sharon Stone and Alec Baldwin turned him on that much. Or was it? No, it wasn't Alec. It was Billy.
It was Billy Baldwin,
Billy
yeah.
Baldwin.
Did I say Alec? I should have said Billy Baldwin, yeah.
No. I think you maybe did. I can't remember. I think I said Alec. But yeah, the one thing I always remember from that film is the song, because it was UB40's cover of I Can't Help Falling in Love with You.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I've only seen it once. Yeah. I've only seen it like maybe once or twice. Well, I've only seen it all the way through once or twice. There's certain scenes that I've seen a few times.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. No, I just wondered if that was where your inspiration came from that.
No.
Yeah. And I guess
drawn from real life, I'm afraid.
kind of thing from that era was condoms. And, you know, I guess you forget 87, and he's quite open about how
the height of the AIDS epidemic, for example. Yeah,
definitely. So I guess he's very vocal about not liking them and not wearing them. And a very funny line when he says, you know, when are you supposed to put them on? Are you supposed to arrive with it on or like that? Yeah. And again, acting out the putting on of the condom. And that is very funny. He's doing that, you know, because they'll say on the packet, you know, about how your partner can help you. It may help the moment.
Sensual experience,
like, I don't think it does, really. No.
I mean, nobody likes them. You know what I mean?
No.
But the thing is, he does make a good point, really, because, you know, like, you don't put the condom on before, you know, things begin. You need to break off and put it on. And unless, like, you're really adept at kind of getting the packet open and getting it kind of on quickly, they can you know. It can kind of knock you off your step a wee bit.
Yeah, kill the moment. Yeah. If your little chap doesn't like wearing a raincoat, then yeah.
I mean, that did make me laugh when he said, he said, you take your clothes off, and she's like, what's that? And he's like, oh, well, it looked like it was going to rain when I was getting ready. So, I remember he said that. There's another clip of him saying that same thing to, she's passed away now, but the old American Jewish comedian, Joan Rivers. Yeah, she had a chat show and he was on that, and he's talking, and when he does that, he does a little bit of that routine for her when he's been interviewed by her, and she is in fucking hysterics. And Joan Rivers was funny, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, she was. Yeah,
she was really funny. But I like it when somebody who's good at making you laugh is reduced to like helpless laughter themselves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And she was absolutely. You can probably see it. I think it was on. There was a video that came out to sort of celebrate 25 years of Billy being famous and being, you know. And I think that there was a lot of clips of like his stand-ups and TV appearances. I think it's on that one, I think.
Where are we living? The world's gone fucking bonkers. Have you noticed this? The world's changing. Values are changing. They've got films and television urging us all to wear condoms. I don't even like them. I hate the buggers. I mean, if your mother found one of them in your pocket, she would have had a coronary. Now there's mothers forcing them into the... Have you got your condoms? Oh, mother, for fuck.
I love the audience in this, because quite early on it cuts to this row of women in hysterics, and they're all wearing these paper hats with the Royal Albert Hall on it. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then it cuts to, you know, a few more times the audience, and the audience are just so mid-80s. It's wonderful. But there's a few other people wearing these hats, and I'm like, fucking hell, you've really been like, oh, they've left these hats on the seats, we'll have to put them on, it'll be funny. Like, really? They just look like fucking idiots. But I guess it was the time.
I wasn't sure if people had actually bought them or if they were left on the seat from it put on.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe actually you're right. Maybe people did actually buy them.
Because it's a real 80s thing to do, you know what I mean, to buy a funny hat. It's like buying a kind of kiss me quick, squeeze me slowly hat, you know, at the seaside. It feels like a real 80s thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it does. But yeah, I just find it bizarre, these snapshots of these people wearing these hats and... these little paper crowns, like they've been at Burger King or something. And,
they are like that, aren't they? They're like the kids' Burger King hats.
But it has the Royal Albert Hall on it, and they're sitting there laughing away, and you're thinking, Jesus, did you think that in nearly 40 years' time, there'd be two men sitting on a podcast? What's a podcast? Discussing the fact that you're wearing a hat on this video. Bizarre. Yeah, but these things live on forever, obviously.
They certainly do. And the other thing I like about this, it shows you him arriving, you know what I mean? So you see him getting out of the car, coming in the stage door, walking through the venue. I like that, you know?
Yeah.
I do like it. There's one that's just been reissued that I watched, and it was the first sort of film about him. I think it's... Let me see if it... I think it is... it's either it's not. I don't know what it is, but it's just been restored. It's from like the late 70s, I think, and he's on tour in Ireland in Belfast, and he's when he's wearing the banana boots and the kind of black kind of onesie. You know, what we call it, and that there's a lot of behind the scenes. There's a lot of tea getting drank and stuff like that. But they follow him. He says goodnight to the audience. He takes his bow, and then the camera follows him off the stage, up the stairs, through the bowels of the theatre, and into his room, his dressing room. You know what I mean? And it's quite interesting seeing all that, because they were talking about. He said, "Oh, you didn't talk about some of the political stuff for Belfast." And he was like, "Well, you know, these people have come out. These people live with that like every day. They've come out to have a laugh and, you know, maybe be distracted from the you know, these horrible things that are happening in their community." He said, because he says I'm not scared to talk about that kind of thing, but I just thought, you know, that's not really what they've come out to see. You know, but yeah, it's worth watching. I think they just got it restored last year. It was on the IPTV. That's what I watched.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I think it's on iPlayer. I think, as well.
Yeah, it's on iPlayer, yeah.
Yeah, I did add it to my list. I was going to watch it before we recorded to get like a little bit more, but time got away with me, unfortunately. So, but yeah, speaking of his outfit, I guess his iconic black and white outfit, a year before Beetlejuice came out, so technically he'd beaten Beetlejuice. It's odd that he's wearing this kind of black and white striped suit, but the cover is, it's like a neon pink, the way that the cover is. So you're not getting to see the actual black and white iconic suit, but it's more kind of a pink and black on the cover. But yeah, it's a bold choice. But Billy's always been a bold with his dressing. The Parkinson famous, he's wearing basically a brown leather suit.
With a sporran. So when he comes on with a sporran, doesn't he?
So yeah, he's always been a bit outlandish. Well, his banana shoes as well, of course. He's always been rather outlandish.
So they were on display in the People's Palace in Glasgow for years and years. The People's Palace is closed because fucking the council couldn't afford to keep it open, I assume. But it's in Glasgow Green, and it's like a museum of Glasgow. So those, I think John Byrne, the famous who just passed away last year, didn't he? Scottish artist. I think they're great friends. I think he made those banana boots for him,
Okay.
But yeah, they were on display in the People's Palace for years and years. I have no idea where they are now. I don't know where any of the stuff that isn't. It's probably on storage.
Yeah. How do you feel? I mean, we've spoken, as I say, we've covered a couple of things that Billy's been in as an actor, but stand-up. But, in terms of his acting career, he did get a lot of credit for, I was going to say Mrs. Brown's Boys there, but obviously for Mrs. Brown. And, we've seen him in things, predating that in terms of The Elephant's Graveyard and Just Another Saturday. And
Just Another Saturday,
Down Among the Big Boys and things. And he's a great actor as well. Obviously, early on, he's playing Billy Connolly, really. Yeah. But he's, developed into a really good actor. I mean, things like the... why was I going to say The Big Man? The Debt Collector. That really shows his acting chops in that, really.
Well, he sort of hits a bit of a, his acting appearances, movies anyway, are a bit sporadic in the sort of late 70s and early 80s. And then from sort of 1993, he plays the auction MC in Indecent Proposal. Bizarre. I don't know how he did that gig. And then he does a lot of voice stuff, like he does Pocahontas and Pause and some other bits and bobs. But then after Mrs. Brown, he goes on a bit of a tear. Like, he does 3 films in 1999, and they're all good films. There's Still Crazy, which is a good film, The Debt Collector, and The Boondock Saints.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, there's kind of hit and miss. He's in The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, and he's in Lemony Snicket. He's in... the character he plays in the X-Files film. Have you seen that X-Files film, I Want to Believe?
I don't think I ever have. I remember being obsessed with the X-Files and buying the VHS for the first couple episodes from our price in the St. Nicholas Centre the day it came out. And by the time the film came out, I'd stopped watching it.
This is the second film.
Okay, definitely.
The first, because it came out in 2008. Like, the first one came out in the late 90s because I went to see it at the cinema. And the first one was pretty good as well, the first movie. The second one, I Want to Believe, and he plays a kind of creepy priest in the second film. It's good. It's a solid film. So yeah, I mean, he was acting right up until 2016 in movies.
Yeah. Well, we had him recently on What We Did in Our Holiday.
Of course we did. Yeah, that was So when was that? That was 2014. So that was his third from last film. After that, he does The Hobbit, is not a good film. And then he does one called Wild Oats that I've never heard of. It's got Shirley MacLaine and Jessica Lange in it, and Demi Moore and Billy Connolly. So
he's always been like, he cemented himself as a national icon. I mean, I think, would you say, if you're speaking about famous Scottish people, then, I mean, Sean Connery is probably top of the pile, but Billy Connolly's he's up there in terms of famous Scotsman from our kind of era and time. Like, he has to be.
I'd say, I'd say that probably after Sean Connery, he's probably the most recognisable Scottish actor, I would say, you know, or personality. I think it's sort of him, Robbie Coltrane. I guess Gerald Butler's kind of moving into that space now as well, just in terms of popularity, because he does so many movies, Gerald Butler, right? You know, but there was a clip of him. Do you remember the kids' TV show Tickle on the Tum?
No, I don't.
On the Tum. You don't remember that?
No.
Well, he was on that. He played Bobby Binns, the bin man, on Tickle on the Tum in a special. It's a little bit like Balamory, I think. Only instead of being set in Balamory, it's set in a Tickle town. You remember? Look down, there's Tickle town, and there's the river Tum. No?
When was this?
Mid-80s.
Nah, I don't remember that at all. Maybe if I watched it, I might suddenly be transported back, but no, I don't remember that.
Yeah, you'd be like prime Tickle on the Tum audience age at that stage, about 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I was busy watching He-Man, I guess. But Tickle on the Tum and the A-Team. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I remember that. There was when I was looking and, you know, searching for a bit, there was the famous, got into a bit of bother in 2004 when that was the time of the Iraqi hostage Kenneth Bigley.
Was that 2004?
Yeah. 2004.
20 years ago.
And he said to the audience, don't you wish they'd just get on with it? And that was at the Hammersmith Apollo in London. And apparently the crowd did turn on him and booed and said that wasn't, you know, I think one audience member shouted that's a man's life you're talking about. And Billy was just like, fucking, you know, passed it off. But still a little bit of bite in him.
Yeah, like when I was watching this, I was thinking, you know, what would the sort of modern sensitivity, you know, what would he might run into with this? And I thought, well, maybe calling Ronald Reagan a nutter, I'm sure people would, you shouldn't use the word nutter, blah, blah, blah. And even the condom stuff, when, you know, because he's going about how much he hates condoms, there would be there'd be somebody like, well, condoms actually save a lot of lives, you know, blah, 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 you know, which is kind of ridiculous, really. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't said that. I mean, if you listen to, well, you do listen to Here Comes the Guillotine, you know, like, nothing is sacred. You know, everything gets fun poked at it, you know?
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between nowadays saying stuff like Frankie Boyle's a bad example, because I'm going to say there's stuff he says on the Guillotine pod he might not say on stage, but Frankie Boyle 100% would.
Yeah, definitely.
I think maybe Chris MacArthur Boyd probably says stuff on the pod that he wouldn't say on stage.
Yeah, possibly.
But yeah, Frankie would. You're right. Yeah, completely. But yeah, anything kind of goes. But yeah, I'm pretty certain Billy would probably get into some sort of bother for something he said. But we've said this before, you can't say anything nowadays, really, in terms of, and that's not me being like Jim Davidson or Roy Chubby Brown.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you are going to offend someone with something you say. So maybe you're best to embrace it, like Jimmy Carr or Ricky Gervais does. You know, like if you're offended, well, it's your fucking problem.
Well, what did Ricky Gervais say the other week? I saw him being interviewed the other week, and he was like, you know, like, to say that something offends you is actually quite fucking arrogant. You might not find you might not find it funny, and that's fine. You know, he said, you know, if I make a joke and you don't find it funny, then I understand, because maybe my humour's not for everybody. But you can't say that I'm offended. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think because times change so much, I think, was it about maybe 5 years ago, like Jimmy Carr said in an interview, like, the joke that will get me cancelled is already out there. Yeah. I've already said it. It'll be retrospective. Someone will be like, I can't believe he said that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's times change and stuff. I mean, it was years later, wasn't it, that Frankie kind of got taken over the coals for what he said about
Jade Goody,
Harvey Price.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Jade Goody. I can't remember.
I think he said some stuff about her as well, and then of course she died, and then all of a sudden it wasn't funny anymore, because, you know, everybody seemed to forget about when she was like being pretty racist towards Shipra. What's her name? The Indian actress on
Shilpa Shetty.
Shilpa Shetty on Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother, like her and S Club 7 girl. Is it Joe from S Club 7?
Joe O'Meara.
Yeah. both being a bit fucking racist towards this Indian lady, and then all of a sudden Jade Goody dies and all that's forgotten about. You know, it's a shame. Oh, poor Jade.
The bizarrest thing about that is, the arguments, and Jade's calling her Shilpa Poppadom, and you've got effectively Jermaine Jackson and Dirk Benedict face from the A-Team, like breaking up this argument, and you're like, what the fuck am I watching? It's bizarre.
I've been watching I'm a Celebrity because I never really watched it before, and then last year my daughter Renee and I watched it all, and there was the right nice group of people in it last year, and there wasn't a load of arguing or any of that shit, just people getting on, like Barry McGuigan, you know what I mean, he's a fucking legend. And so this year, and Martin Kemp's on it this year, and he was telling everybody about how he had like a brain tumour years ago, and he had to have it removed and stuff, and he was sort of talking about his road to recovery and his rehabilitation and everything. And I just felt this real surge of empathy for him, and every time they're making him do some fucking horrible task, I'm like, that's Martin Kemp from Spandau Ballet, come on guys. You know what I mean? He's not fucking Angry Ginge or H. Nobody gives a fuck about those two fans. That's Martin Kemp.
It's funny, I haven't been watching I'm a Celebrity, but I have been watching Celebrity Race Across the World.
Oh, right. Yeah. I've not watched that. I do fancy it though.
It's very good, and one of the couples, it's Roman Kemp and his sister Harley Moon Kemp. So I'm trying to explain to my girlfriend, I'm like, well, it's Spandau Ballet and Pepsi and Shirley, it's their kids. And it's great seeing their dynamic, and when they're speaking about, mum and dad, I'm like, it's fucking Shirley and Martin Kemp you're talking about there. Do you know anyone called Alistair?
Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, he's a nice guy, but I do. There's a guy at school called Alistair Cool, who actually, believe it or not, works for Weta now, the special effect company. I don't know that because I'm still in touch with him. I know that because he told me. So he worked on the Lord of the Rings films and stuff like that, and King Kong. But yeah, he's an Alistair. Alistair Cool, Coull. It's quite a common northeast of Scotland second name, Cool, though, right?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, in a couple of places. Yeah. So would you say this is peak Connolly?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, I think 90s, like first half of the 90s is peak Connolly
stand up, and that's when was he doing like his tour of Australia and stuff? That was mid to late 90s. Yeah,
that was maybe even early 2000s. Potentially. Oh, do you know he was once in Minder, Billy Connolly?
Oh wow,
he played a character called Tic Tac. So he did. You're right. Sorry, he did World Tour of Scotland in '94. Then he did Australia in '96. Then he does England, Ireland, and Wales in 2002. New Zealand 2004. Tracks across America in 2014. He does Journey to the Edge of the World in 2009, and he does Route 66 in 2011. I think that was where they discovered that he had early onset Parkinson when he did that Route 66. I think because he said that he said that somebody came up to him in the Beverly Hills Hotel and in the lobby and said, "Like, I'm a doctor, and I saw the way you were walking there, and I think you should go and get checked out for Parkinson." That was that was how he So he said he was, supposed to react when somebody comes up and says, like, I'm a doctor, it looks like you got Parkinson's, mate. I think the younger Billy Connolly would probably have knocked his fucking teeth out.
Yeah, very true, actually. Yeah, very true. Yeah. I would probably agree. Like, I think this for me is a very famous show, but in terms of peak Connolly, I don't know. It's kind of, you're probably right. It is a few years later when he's at like the peak of his powers, but he's more mainstream, but maybe has not lost his edge a bit, but I guess you're diluting yourself when you are appealing to everyone. Whereas, the earlier stuff, I always kind of associate, it's funny because we say he's probably one of the most famous, Scotsmen ever. He's definitely our most famous comedian. And I think what I kind of associate really with him a lot is going to the toilets in the illicit still. Because they used to play Billy Connolly in there, and it was a genius move, and it was hilarious. You'd go in for a piss, and then you'd be like, I'll just wait until the end of this bit, and then come back. And it was, a great move for a pub to be playing Billy Connolly in the toilet.
I mean, this just the cover of this that you mentioned it earlier on. Again, it's a little bit like what we were saying before about the Sterling adverts, so the Cumbernauld adverts. There's some things that are just, when you think back to when you were younger, there are some things that just really stand out, and this is definitely one of them, because it was just it was so popular. And I remember, obviously never being allowed to watch it because my mum was quite strict about. Well, she was quite strict up to a certain point. I think when I turned about 14. It was fine. I could watch anything I wanted. You know what I mean? But when I was younger, but before that, when I was younger, she was definitely censoring stuff. Famously not even allowed to watch fucking Grange Hill. So I remember it was one of those things where I fucking can't wait to get to watch that. You know what I mean? Just it's sort of like the kind of mystery of it. It's something that's kind of forbidden. You're just like, I can't wait to get my chance to watch that. And then, of course, the first time I watched it, it's like I mentioned at the beginning, I was fucking absolutely helpless with laughter. But then I was only 14. So,
yeah. Yeah, as I say, for me, it's just an iconic cover and just adorned every Scottish guy of that age's front room next to the VHS player. It was this and usually Scotch and Rye with floating in Super Cop uniform on the cover. It was just, that was, or maybe a Rabsy Nesbitt.
Or Naked, It's like, it's
Naked Video,
It's kind of like the Blues Brothers poster in the early 1980s, you know what I mean? That seems everybody, like boys of a certain age seem to have on their walls, or young men of a certain age seem to have on their walls back then.
Yeah.
It's kind of up there with that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely iconic.
Well, normally we would be ready to do our Swally Awards, but we've never done like a stand-up special before, and I couldn't do it. I tried, and I thought, I'm reaching.
I mean, I got, Bobby the Barman, the Royal Albert Hall, but we don't see a pub, and then Cosmo is obviously Billy Connolly. Who wins? Billy Connolly. I mean, the use of swearing, again, it's strange. There's not or maybe it just passed me by because it's just Connolly and I wasn't concentrating. But, one of his opening lines is, of course, I've played some fucking toilets in my life. Yeah. And that's what I gave it to because there was nothing else.
You just reminded me of something that I meant to say earlier. Somehow, he's always gotten away with swearing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when I was younger, the types of comedians that use language like that would be sort of stag type comedians like Roy Chubby Brown, for example. They would never be mainstream. You would never have like these sort of talcum powdered wee old ladies like laughing at the front of the audience as he's effing and jeffing his way through. But he seems to get away with it. You know what I mean? People, if you look at that audience, they're probably, they looked like almost all white, from what I could see. I'm sure there were people of colour in there, maybe they just didn't get caught in camera, but all white, all kind of, all of us, they all look to be of a fairly specific class. I can't imagine that the Royal Albert Hall has ever been the cheapest place to buy a ticket to go and see anybody at. And also, going to London has always been expensive. But he seems to appeal to them, in the same way as he would appeal to a room full of Scots, maybe, or Irish, or, or working class people, or whatever. But he seems to, I don't know how he gets away with it, but I know that if you and I were to do a stand-up show in front of a crowd like that, and be fucking this, and, fuck off, bastards, and all that, like, we just wouldn't get away with it. You know what I mean?
It's very true, and it is just, you're right, it's just Connolly, you just associate him with that. But it's, what I always think is, and it's another Scottish thing, they're probably our two most famous, and they're probably the two most mimicked and impressioned, would be Sean and Billy. And do you have, like, obviously, when someone's doing a Sean Connery impression, the first thing is Mish Moneypen.
Yes.
And if you're doing a Billy Connolly impression, do you have a word? Because I certainly do if you were to go into one.
Not really. I mean, I don't think I've got a word. What would your word be?
Jobby. Would be my word. It's like, for some reason.
I remember seeing a live Smell of Reeves and Mortimer years ago, and Vic Reeves does a Billy Connolly impression. He goes, "Don't you just hate it when the plumber comes around and he leaves a bloody mess? But it's funny."
that is, I guess it does show. I mean, that's why I think Billy was so successful. He was an everyman, and he was able to talk about being a welder and doing this. And that's why, this day, I think like people like Mickey Flanagan, there's a little spark and everyone's like, he's like me. And, I can associate, speaking about going out.
Mickey Flanagan is very, very funny.
Yeah.
A very funny man.
But he comes from a certain stock that Connolly kind of, would say, I'm not saying Mickey Flanagan's a modern day Billy Connolly, but he, comes from a same kind of stock. And I think that's why Connolly has that appeal, because he's an everyman. You can imagine having a pint in the pub with him.
Yeah.
Having a laugh, and he would entertain you, and then off you go.
One of my big regrets, all the years I lived in Glasgow, I never ever ran into Billy Connolly. And and he does, well, maybe not so much now because he's quite poorly, but he used to go to Glasgow a lot, and he would just be wandering around in the city centre. He would go to Cafe Gandolfini, that was his favourite place to go, in the Merchant City and all that kind of thing. And I never ever saw him. I never ever bumped into him. And I guess I know, because I always he's like, I'm not fussed about meeting famous people really, but he is one person that I always wanted to meet, and he just to say hello to for a couple of minutes, and just tell him how brilliant I think he is. I wouldn't say it like that though, because he seems to be very gracious when people approach him and say hello. As long as they approach him in the right way, but he seems happy to stop and say hello to them and maybe get a picture with them and whatnot. But I guess I'll never get the chance to do that now, but never mind.
Just don't say to him, "Are you who I think you are?" Because he doesn't like that, especially if you're light on your loafers, apparently. Don't say that. Say, "Are you Billy Connolly?" And then he'll be gracious enough to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, don't say, "Are you who I think you are?" Then could be in trouble there. Never mind. Well, yeah, I guess we can't go through any awards. So that was Billy and Albert. I believe it's available. I think it's on YouTube. I'm sure it's available in certain places. Is it not available on YouTube?
No, I was going to be lazy, so I could watch it on my phone and just watch it on YouTube. There's clips of it on YouTube, but I had to. Luckily, I've got it on DVD because a few years ago, I think my stepmom she didn't know what to buy me for my Christmas, so she bought me a few Billy Connolly DVDs, and that was one of them.
Nice. That's lovely. Very good.
And that's it. And that was me taking the wrapper off it for the first time to watch it. It's still sealed.
There we go. You took the condom off of Billy and Albert and placed it in your DVD player. That's wonderful. Very nice. At least you got some use out of it. Well,
yeah.
Lovely. Well, Billy and Albert available. You can watch clips on YouTube or you can find it somewhere. I sailed the high seas and found it, so you can do that. So that is our last episode of 2025, Greg. We will be back in the first couple of weeks of January with a Best of the News special. And then after that, we will have our first proper episode of 2026. And it's your choice. So what are we going to be watching over the festive period, my man?
Well, I've gone for quite a recent thing. I've gone for the ITV drama starring Andrew Lincoln of The Walking Dead and This Life. What was it called?
This Life. Played Egg.
Yeah, I never watched that.
I fucking loved This Life.
Did you?
I have the DVD box set I have of This Life. I'll never get rid of that. I fucking love that show.
I guess we'll be talking about This Life in the next episode as well.
We will.
Ewan Bremner, Eve Miles and Indria Varma. And it's Coldwater. So when a family move from London to a quiet Scottish village after a traumatic experience, their new idyllic life soon turns to a nightmare when they meet their creepy next door neighbour, played by Ewan Bremner. So yeah, it looks good. I've not seen any write-ups on it, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing this advertised. I must have been watching something on ITV at the time, and it was being heavily promoted, but I never got round to watching it. Great. I will look forward to watching that over the festive period and discussing it with you early next year.
It's maybe even one that we can watch with our significant others.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, wonderful. All right. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you've had a lovely Christmas, because although this comes out on Christmas Day, I hope you're not listening to this on Christmas Day. If you are, Merry Christmas, and wish you all the best for 2026. But if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can. You can email us, cultureswally@gmail.com. If you've got anything you'd like us to cover, if you've got any news stories you've seen, if you just want to say hello, then drop us a line. Be more than happy to have a little chat with you. And we have a wonderful website as well, don't we, Greg?
Yep, you can find us at cultureswally.com with links to all our episodes, blog posts, and articles about Scottish film and television. And I'm one of my to-do lists to update over Christmas. Definitely get round to that at some point.
Lovely, wonderful. Well, I would say I hope you have a lovely Christmas, but I will probably see you in 10 days' time or so. We'll have a proper catch-up and all that, and blether before the Christmas period. So lovely.
Okay.
Well, wonderful. Right. Well, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone. And we will see you in the first couple of weeks of January with the best of the news, and then following that with Cold Water. So, yeah, all the best for Christmas and have a good one. And until next time.
Go to Fife and Dundee and Aberdeen and Glasgow. You'll like it. It's another nice place. And don't come back. People come up to me and say, I went to Scotland once. It was raining. Of course it was fucking raining! Scotland, there's a fucking Pyrenees!